Aloha Kako, and welcome back to Just and True. Today we had some very interesting news coming out of the South China Sea, one of my favorite hotspots in the area right now. Um, no pun intended. So today it looked like one of the contesters in the South China Sea, Indonesia, tried to flex its muscles. It went out there with a pretty large frigate and did a freedom of navigation operation, some FONO going on. Of course, this is not new to any of you who watched my last video because we saw that the FONO was happening with the United States and the United Kingdom for the very first time in this region since, well, ever. So we have been having some more very interesting movement going on today. Within the last 24 hours, you saw four, count them, four major naval powers doing freedom of navigation operations in the region. And that can't never be good. So basically, today you had Indonesia go out to one of the five disputed island chains, set up shop with their frigates, and claim that it's going to start basically drilling and searching for natural gas deposits or resources in the area. Um, so, not new to any of us, but one of the things that can start a war real quick is trying to take some sort of disputed resources. So, yes, we all hear, oh, they claim it's theirs and they claim it's theirs for, what, 40, 50 years now. But the significance now is people are starting to show up with an extremely large amount of naval vessels and then starting to build up a huge amount of infrastructure and a huge amount of military manpower on these disputed territories. So today you had Indonesia go around the South China Sea through Philippines around that area and kind of get into the South China Sea region to start looking for natural gas deposits. However, they weren't doing this with any kind of scientific or state sponsored scientific research vessel. They were doing it with medium sized frigates and destroyer class vessels. So, don't understand that. Side note, Brunei has also shored up their offenses. So Brunei is one of the Brunei, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, Taiwan, China, major players in the Southeast China Sea. Today, Brunei came out and said that it was shoring up its coastal lines to protect its shore in case anybody gets any smart ideas, and it was also going to be putting together a larger frigate to have more presence in the area. So you have Brunei and Indonesia, as well as the United Kingdom and the United States and China, all within a small region with a lot of ships and a lot of naval power and a lot of boom boom power. This can't be good. It's not going to end well for anybody. I don't mean to laugh, but you got to smile, right? You got to smile. So anyway, that was huge news to me to see that Indonesia actually is now moving their large amount of naval forces into the region today is going to be huge. It's going to have an impact on China. So let's put China, let's put the United States out of the discussion and just focus on these other smaller Southeast Chinese or Southeast Asian countries because how we see how they're reacting to this ever looming, ever present threat of Chinese takeover can kind of really tell us and justify to us how real, and we can kind of quantify how real of a threat, get a threat assessment from these countries. And it seems as though Brunei and Indonesia, at least, are reacting in a way to justify and verify that this threat is real. There's definitely assessment of a real threat going on and a possibility of a potential military breakout in the region is only growing with more naval presence. More ships in an area, the more likelihood of conflict to escalate because of either navigational errors, threat errors, and general navigational crosses. I mean, things can be seen as a sign of war and escalation of war really quickly. China may not take a United States freedom of navigation operation to set off China. It may simply be Singapore or Indonesia going out and trying to set up shop and have a presence in the area. You may see a conventional small arms maritime naval event happen before you see the United States go to war with China. It may be the leading, it may be what is leads up into the a larger full-scale naval conflict or even military conflict in general. It just takes one small spark to set off a whole gunpowder cake that's down there. And when you see five nations navy congregate in an area, it only leads to further tension and escalations in military movement in the region. Brunei shoring up its offenses. Indonesia is coming out with freedom of navigation operations, claiming some islands for its natural resources. China says don't. Taiwan's doing a freedom or show of force practices, just blowing things up to try and show force in China, and China's not backing down at all. So keep your eyes on the prize, keep your head on a swivel, keep tabs on these smaller nations. Don't just think about ours and the bigger nation states, because those small steps and those small things in an area have historical significance that create and lead to larger, more impactful and greater events. Mahalo nui loa for coming in. Ahui ho until next time. Keep your head on a swivel, and yeah, have a good night.